Good evening, everyone. Welcome to MBA Karo. So, MICAT 1 for the admission year 25-27 was conducted today, and the aspirants faced a glitch at the examination center because due to some server issue, the examination started late, and which was supposed to start at 9 a.m. It started around 10:30, so it was a bit late, delayed by a significant amount of time, and I already did a quick analysis describing how the paper was as compared to last year. So, in this video, we are going to discuss things in detail, the pattern, and helpful. This video is quite helpful for those who are going to appear on MICAT 2 because there are a lot of students who have not written MICAT 1 and definitely they will be going and writing MICAT 2. So, please do watch this video to understand what exactly is MICAT, and the ones who appeared on the examination, the ones who had appeared last year know that what MyCat is, but for the ones who appeared for the very first time, they must have realized that cat is nothing in front of MyCat, right? Cat में अगर आपको difficult लगा था, so MyCat is way more difficult than cat. So once you saw the quant questions, the English part, right, wherein there were fill in the blanks with 8 options, right? So it is in fact the most difficult MP entrance examination. People like those who write MyCat only understand this fact. Okay, so in this video, we are going to analyze the examination. If you are new to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And the ones who have appeared on MyCat and watched the content must have realized that we are the only channel that cover this examination. In fact, we cover all the examination in detail. Okay, so please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and follow us on social media platforms. Now, this is the examination structure important for the people who are going to appear on MyCat 2 as well, right? So, it has three sections. First is psychometric test, in which you have to attempt 150 questions in 30 minutes. Now, psychometric test is a boring test, okay, but you have to attempt those questions fast. You need to attempt all the questions, okay, and it is about some behavioral questions. Okay, so it has questions like when I go to new places, I observe plants and animals. Okay, my table manners are equal at home as well as outside. Okay, sometimes I feel like thrashing people. Okay, if I am a manager, I like to have creativity built in my team, etc., etc. So the ones who appeared know that what kind of questions. Uh, like uh, are these. So 150 questions in 30 minutes, you have to just answer them honestly. Okay, so now descriptive test, there were four questions, 25 minutes. We will discuss the topics also. And then aptitude test, you have 70 questions in 80 minutes. Right now, the 70 questions are way too difficult for 80 minutes. Okay, so total you have 135-minute test. Now, psychometric test, as I said, that there are 150 questions, 117 out of them were ordinal options, like totally agree, somewhat disagree, and so on till totally disagree. So, scale of 1 to 8, you need to answer the questions. Now, what happens in these questions is they check for your consistency. Now, if you must have noticed that there were questions like, I think twice before I speak, and another question would be, I speak my mind. Okay. Now, if you click totally agree in both, that is contradictory because when you say that I speak my mind, that means you do not think, whatever comes to your mind, you speak that out. And on the other hand, I think twice before I speak, that means you are thoughtful before you speak something. Right. So, those two contradictory questions should have opposite answers. Like if you are putting somewhat agree, you should put somewhat disagree in that, or it could be like on one on positive and one on negative. Like if you say agree, it could be totally disagree also, but both should not be on the same side. Like you cannot say totally agree for both or totally disagree for both. So that's how they check the consistency, and there are some behavioral questions. So and there were 33 questions, true or false type. Okay, so it is again like a psychologist can preferably tell that how to clear this, but my understanding of this test is that you need to be consistent in your answers, be honest, okay, and do not think much in answering these questions. So 30 minutes are enough to attempt this. Now this comes the challenging part, the descriptive test. And as I discussed in the in yesterday's class also, that you should be uh, like attempting these questions, attempting all these questions, right? Try to attempt as many questions as possible. So every year they give you this kind of thing, that they will give you 3 points. They will give you a statement, that the statement this time was, there is merit in hierarchy. Okay, and you have to write 3 points for, 3 points against, and three ways in which managers can promote. So in fact they use the word young managers. So this is a trend which I've noticed. Every year they give you this kind of statement, one statement for, against, how can young managers use that thing effectively. Okay, so how can use they promote hierarchy in their team to make them more effective. Okay, so these 3 pointers. And then there were the picture perception test, which had four images. One was luggage, like three blue blacks, and some other luggage was kept over there. And then there was a man in the market. He was looking somewhat like Mukesh Ambani. Okay, and in white clothes like kurta pajama, and that short kurta and pajama. And then like he was signaling something. So then there was a plate, and a butter, large piece of butter was served on it, and there was a big fly on it, right? And the fourth was a metallic sort of camel as a decoration. So one had to write a story connecting these four images. Now it's your creativity, how you wish to write. Okay, there is nothing right or wrong in that. It's about your creativity in that. Okay. Now, talking about the verbal ability section, the aptitude part, there was an RC which was like about people on social media, that people with extreme people like to interact with people who have extreme opposites. Like, for example, let us say political arguments or any other arguments, people like to have arguments with that. So, I forgot the term. They used two terms. One was about people with same like ideas, one was people with opposite ideas. If someone remembers, please do comment those terms. There were two words which were specifically used. I'm unable to recall those words. So that was the gist of the passage, and you had to answer question. It was moderate passage to read. Okay, it is like if you're prepared for cat and all, you are habitual to reading such passages. And the questions were, I think, out of five, one or two questions were doable. Okay, this time they did not have many questions with eight options, unlike last year where they used to have eight options in RCs also. RC that had normal four options, like cat wala feel aaya hoga. Okay, so there were one or two questions could have been done if someone happened to read the passage, because the paper is so vast that you cannot attempt everything. Okay, so if someone read it, maybe could have done more also, and if someone who is very good at verbal could have attempted four to five questions from this passage. Then there was one question on error spotting, in which sentences were given and you had to find which was the right sentence. Then, no, this was not present this time. Missing sentence was not present. Instead, they had parajumbles and odd one out. Okay, so there was one on parajumble that was easy. Odd one out also was a doable one. There were sentence fillers. Okay, so four blank sentence fillers, and three of them were idiom based, and some were word based. So four blanks. Now, how was that idiom based one? So they had given a matrix like this. Okay, so they had one, two, three, and four, and there were four by four matrix A, B, C, D, right? And they had like blanks A. There was a paragraph like this A, B, C, D, and then you had to fill that which idiom. All these were idioms given. Okay, like an eye for an eye or something like that. And one had to fill the combination of idioms. Okay, so it was a tough one. Maybe one or two, if you read them carefully, you knew the meaning, could have been attempted. So fill in the blanks I would rate as on the difficult side. Even if there were just four words blanks, there were eight options. So fill in the blanks had eight options, definitely a difficult one. And the words were also synonymous. So it is, you need very good knowledge of English to understand that which is the right fit for each of the blanks. Okay. So that was the case for fill in the blanks. And then you had critical reasoning, some summary based, inference based questions. Okay. Inference and some para completion sort of questions were there. and then analogy based one of the questions was it. So primarily it was sentence fillers plus these miscellaneous question types which are asked at the verbal ability part. Okay, so all in all, every section is difficult in it. Now comes the QA and DI part. There was one bar graph. I think four questions on it. The bar graph was about expenses, and three items were there. One was milk, another was like I don't recall the three items. One was milk, one was groceries, and three items. So there were bar graph. One bar graph showed the expense, monthly expense. Okay, expense was given in monthly format, and then you had income that was given daily. Okay, now it was given that the year is 2024, so it is a leap year, and one had to multiply the daily income by the respective number of months. Like for example, January you would multiply by 31, February by 29, and then find how much is the income, how much is the expenditure, and find if there was any deficit in that, or what is the so it was, I would say, a bit doable because only this multiplication thing was needed and some calculations. So calculation intensive, but compared to other questions which were way too lengthy. Like there were some questions which were multi-layered. Like there was a question on simple interest and compound interest. It said one of them talked about simple interest, another talked about compound interest, that is not just compound interest. So in that they had given that it is 8 month compound interest. Okay, like 2 years, it is compounded every 8 months, and then you had to the ratio of the money deposited was given, and then you had to find that the difference between the interest earned was given, and you had to find that what is the difference in the interest earned was given, I think, and you had to find what is the difference in the amount that the person deposited in the two schemes. So way too lengthy. Compared to that, I would say that if one attempted the DI set with the calculations, could have done more questions in this section. Then there were five, six questions on arithmetic. They included simple interest, compound interest, time and work. Okay, then there was also a partnership based. Okay, and there were from different topics. There were questions. Okay, and then ratio like density based question, density of items are given in ratios, etc. Then geometry mensuration, there was one like about the diagonals, polygon based question. Okay, then there was one that a goat is tied over here, so that they I found that one or two questions were doable in that. Then there was algebra 2 3 questions. One was on some roots, reciprocal, and their variance you had to find, so way too difficult questions. Modern math also, there were weird questions. There are some sets. Okay, set theory, there was one separate question of four set Venn diagram, and that was very lengthy. Like you get in CAT, right? Four set Venn diagram. In CAT, you have a complete DILR, which would take around 10 minutes to solve. So there was one single question from it. So you can imagine that the length of this paper, the ones who have not attempted the paper, by understanding this analysis could figure out कि कितना लंबा पेपर आता है. It is very difficult to attempt like uh, above 40 questions, genuine attempts. Okay, so you cannot cross that limit, right? Unless when you're just marking the answers, but genuine attempts beyond that are way too difficult. Okay, so this was the quant and DI section. Again, at par with last year, difficult and lengthy. Now, coming to the divergent and convergent thinking, there were 4 or 5 questions on word association. We will discuss those questions also. And in case you happen to know the answers, you can comment that. Coding, decoding, there were 7 8 questions. Alphabet coding, right? Different kind of questions. There were 2 3 questions on number based reasoning. Now, this I found somewhat doable. Okay, so if you are targeting MICAT 2, I would say that please practice these kind of questions. They can ask you different variations. So we will see the questions because these are the questions which we will mostly discuss. I attempted many of these questions. So we will discuss these questions in this video. Then there were 2 3 questions on arrangement, difficult one. Like one was 8 people sitting around square table, definitely directly avoidable. Okay. Then there was There was question on like there are seven people, they have to be arranged in descending order or on base of age or something was there. There they had eight options and asked that which of the following statements was true. It was also a tricky one. Okay, so there were two, three such questions on arrangement. There were question on blood relations, coded blood relations. That was, I believe, a doable one. Okay, some of these questions were doable, not all, but some of them doable ones. Then there was, I think, one question on directions. There was on binary logic also. Right, there are three statements like cat and tail. They say that statement about cat, that the cat has long tail, short tail, etc. So that was there, and that was like if one knows the concept, could have done that, but it was lengthy to read. So all in all, there were the questions. The pick of this section would have been these questions amongst the coding, decoding, and these ones. Now, talking about the general awareness, this time match the following were surprisingly less. Until last year, it used to be like until last year there used to be 5 6 questions on match the following, and this time there were just two questions on match the following. One was logos one, and another one was the tagline one, and mostly it was mcqs. Okay, now if we talk about this, it was mostly current and related to brands as usual. Okay, now we will discuss these the criteria. What is the criteria? So you must be interested to know that what would be the cutoff and all, based on past years predictions and things, right? So if we talk about the selection criteria, so you have to appear on one of the exams like cat, zat or gmat. So 50% weight to that qualifying exam and 50% to MICAT scores. Okay, so if your cat zat score is decent, maybe you will require lesser marks in MICAT, and if your that score is on the lower side, you will require higher marks on MICAT. And for final conversion, your CATs at GMAT, whatever score you are filling, should have 20% weight. My CAT score will have 30% weight, GE 20%, and PI 30%. Okay, so that is the final merit list, how it is prepared. So these have significant contribution. So if your MICAT score is good, you will have a good chance of converting. Okay, so if your MICAT score is very high, way too high, then you have very decent chances of converting. Now, some of you ask that you all of you must be curious to know that what would be the cutoff and all. See, they do not explicitly mention that what are the cutoffs, but going by the last year's students' feedback, students generally receive calls if they have. See, there are several factors. First, you need to qualify the psychometric test. Okay, if you do not qualify the psychometric test, you are eliminated. Okay, so qualifying the psychometric test is important, right? Then in your aptitude test, now it depends, like as per my understanding, since they have weight for both MyCat as well as cat or zat. So if you have score in 80s in cat or zat, okay, because they consider the better of the two, or in fact you've put GMAT also, so best of the three. Now a score of around 15 would be decent enough to get a call, because that was achievable. So considering the paper, this would be a decent score enough to get a call. Now cutoffs, sectional cutoffs, they do not explicitly mention. Okay, they do not say that this is the sectional cutoff, but like they I mean, people just say that you should have positive numbers or non-negative. You can have zero also. So non-negative score in sections, but that is how much true, nobody knows. Okay, but people who have reported negative scores, they say that they did not get a call in the past. Okay, so possibly they need some positive score, or even zero would do to get. I mean, overall you should get a score plus sectional score also should be of this kind. Okay, so like if you have a decent score in cat, maybe 12 enough would be sufficient. Like 12 marks would be enough to get a call, because this has historically been the cutoffs in this range. And if you have lesser score, maybe you would need somewhat more. But you would not be needing somewhere like 20 or oh, that is way too much. So 15 would be a decent score. And the ones who attempted on the paper, they only would know that 50, getting even 15 marks is not easy in this paper. Okay, out of 70. The ones who have not appeared might think कि 70 में से 15 लाना तो कौन सी बड़ी बात है. But only the ones who appear on the examination realize it because of uh, the level of questions. Verbal ability, you have 8 options. Okay, you are gone. This time they had 4 in RCs. Otherwise, in RCs also they used to have 8 options. Then quant was way too lengthy. Okay, so you cannot attempt too many questions in quant also. Even if you are pro at quant, maybe you can attempt 10 questions, but beyond that, it is very difficult to score. Okay. So if you are scoring, let us say 30 in this paper, that would be considered somewhere at the top score because hardly I think people score above 30 in that. Okay, I have seen like I have scored 24, 24 and 21 like this. I get these scores despite covering all the sections. Okay, so I believe 30, 35. If someone is getting that, that would be the top score in this exam, not beyond that. So if you are getting a score in like mid teens, that should be sufficient. So 15 would be a good enough score to qualify this examination. Now there are some memory based questions which we can discuss, and if you happen to appear in the examination, so please do let me know that how many answers you got it right. So there was a logo match, and interestingly, we had discussed the sale logo yesterday, and because of this, a lot of people must have got 1 marks. Okay, because the sale logo, there was only one option that was matching it. Okay, so sale logo wala ek hi tha. Although I knew the logo of Jindal Steel also and IRFC Nazara Technologies, I did not know the logo. Okay, so sale logo I knew, and I knew of Jindal and IRFC. So even if you knew only sale logo, you would have matched that because I remember that there was only one option in which the sale logo was matching correctly. Okay, so that must have saved. So how many of you got the sale logo right? Did you watch the video yesterday and got the sale logo right? How many of you? Please comment ki jin jin ka, because in the earlier video which I did on analysis, a lot of people commented ki sale logo aaya tha and we were able to get one question right on the examination. Okay. Now, if we talk about tagline, there was a question, not a tagline of Coke. Obviously, I did not know the answer because some of the taglines you might know, but you may not be knowing all those taglines. Okay, so there were 8 taglines given, and it was like a bit difficult one. Okay, the who has the most NBA MVPs? Now this was a tricky question. I mean, tricky in the sense that if one knows exactly good, but many of you, I marked Michael Jordan. I thought that it was Michael Jordan, right? So Kareem Abdul Jabbar is the right answer. 6. Okay, so. That was the question. And then Cisco tagline, they were tagline matching like Cisco, Gatorade, Tag Heuer and Cartier. So that was one of these. Okay, official summer drink, that I have no idea which was the right answer because I do not know all those other taglines. So very few people might have uh, like attempted that particular problem. Okay, then there was a question on companies acquired by Reliance. So Fint, Grab, Haptic are acquired. First Cry is not acquired by Reliance. And there was question on merger and acquisitions by Tata Group. Okay, that was some question on that. And then there was a question based on a term called austerity measures that is related to taxes and economics. Then there was a question that OTT comes under which ministry? So it is Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. And Lewis Hamilton, brand ambassador of Mercedes. So these were the questions. Okay, so something thirsty. Okay, so not sure that whether it is, but I'll check it out that if it is something thirsty. Okay, so all in all, people could have attempted some of the questions, especially this question from yesterday's video must have helped you. And like it depends on your level of knowledge. Like if you are into brands and have awareness of these things, could have answered some of the questions. Okay, GK is very subjective. It depends on person to person. Okay, there is nothing like easy or difficult in GK. Okay, then if we talk about other sections, okay, now we will discuss the quant and others thing. Right, so SICI there was a question. Okay, SICI का question था जिसमें 13:10 में डिपॉजिट किया था, and it said that this was at simple interest and compound interest, and it was 15% for 2 years, and it said that 8 month compounding. Okay, the time duration was 2 years for both. It is compounded at 8 month, and the difference was given as somewhere 295. Right, the difference in interest. I got the answer 1500. I mean, since I know the technique to solve these questions, I did this question. Did anyone attempt this question? 1500 was the answer to this question. Okay, then there was cow grazing. This was a doable one. It said that there is a rectangle of 2 into 1. Okay, and a cow is tied at the corner. So, what portion can it graze? So, it's a quarter circle. So, area of the quarter circle is pi r square by 4. So, area will be pi by 4, and total area is 2. So, pi by 4 into 2. Pi by 8 was the answer to this question. This I would say was an easy question, could have been done, basic geometry question. Okay, then there was another question on polygons. Okay, that was again an easy question, which I would say. It says that sum of angles was given. Sum of angles was given as 3060. So we know that n minus 2 into 180 is the sum of angles. Okay, so we got n is equal to 90, and number of diagonals is n minus 3 by 2. Okay, so the answer would have been 152 diagonals. So please do let me know in the comments that how many of you attempted this question and got this answer right. Then there was one difficult question on a number system. As I said, that the questions were layered. They were asking too many things. Like one of the questions said that there are numbers that have 7 factors. So 7 factors will be basically numbers, that is a prime number raised to the power 6. So it asks that all the first smallest four numbers are added. So basically you will have 2 to the power 6 plus 3 to the power 6 plus 5 to the power 6 plus 7 to the power 6. इसका जो आंसर आएगा, you have to find the sum of digits. Okay, so definitely a crazy question to attempt. First you need to find these values and find the sum of digits. Okay, so it was definitely a question worth skipping, right? Although using techniques, digit sum, one could have solved that, but again there were too many options in that, so could have got a mismatch. Then there was one question which I found interesting, that was density based. Okay, so it says that A and B are mixed in ratio 2:3. Okay, then it was given that density of B and C is 4:5. So when you mix A and B, you get density of C. So they had asked the density of A ratio C. Did anyone attempt this question? किसी ने किया ये question? Density of A ratio C. One did not attempt many questions in quant. Time and work 15 answer होगा. Time and work also I will discuss the question. Time and work question. There was time, speed, distance also. I did not attempt that question. Some upstream, downstream, and time was given. Not the speed was given, and something was given. A raft is flowing. I did not understand that question properly. Even the partnership question, I found something wrong in that. I mean, I tried to attempt it, but then I ran out of time, and then I realized that something was wrong. That was not matching because it said 33.33 1 by 3% more than the initial amount, but that person had joined later, so I found that question ambiguous. Okay, there was time and work question which said that there are three people PQR. Okay, PQ does in 72 hours, so P in 24 and R in 36. Okay, so it said that like P and R, so this is the time, time was not given directly, so time for Q was given, and it was said that P is thrice as efficient as Q. Okay, and R is twice as of, or twice as efficient. So their efficiency will be 3, 1, and 2. So it said that P and Q, okay, is assisted by R on every second day. Every second day, right? Now, what does that mean is on day one, P and Q will work. So they will do 4 units. Okay, P and Q are for doing units. Day two, P and R will work. P and Q and R will work. So it was not just P and Q, it was P and Q combined with R. So 6 units. Now every second day, that means second day, fourth day, sixth day, and so on. So total work is 72 we took, right? So in 2 days they will complete 10 units, into 7 kar denge. In 14 days they will complete 70 units. Okay, on 15th day, exactly it is not 15, it is 14.5. So on 15th day, P and Q will work and complete the remaining 4 units, or they need 2 units, so 2 units will be done. So exact answer would be 14.5 days, but since that was not an option, you would choose 15th day as the answer. Okay, so that was one of the questions on time and work. Doable. So some of these were doable ones. Now, there were some other questions also. There was some coordinate geometry which I did attempt. It was getting m square plus coordinate. Did anyone attempt? Coordinate का answer क्या रहा था? I got m square plus c square is equal to 17. I wrote it in another sheet which I deposited there. You don't know if it was correct. And then there was and so these are the questions that I remember. Partnership, I was not getting the right answer. I tried that partnership question. Then there was, then rest of them were like quite lengthy questions. Okay. DI, there were two DI I did. DI, there was one answer was 892.5. I remember. There were 2 months that had debt. Okay, 2 months that had debt was, one was Feb because the income was coming less, and another I think was April. Okay, so there were 2 months that had debt, and 2 months was the answer that there was reduction, something like that. Okay, so that were the questions. These are some of the questions which I remember from the examination when having attempted those questions. Now, reasoning, I will tell you, and important to remember these reasoning questions because they will be handy for your examination later. Okay, so there was a question like this, that 10, 331, and 11, right? And another code was given as 6, 296, and 8. So you have to find that which of the following will have the same code. So the answer was 4, 496, and 8. ठीक है, इसका आंसर था, there were 8 options. Does anyone did anyone solve this question and figure out the logic? Logic I believe was easy in this case. इसमें क्या करना था आपको? 11 cube and 10 cube, you have to take the difference. Okay, 11 cube minus 10 cube is this, 8 cube minus 6 cube is this. So among the options, the only thing was you had to test multiple options in that because this question had 8 options. Okay, then there was something like a series which was again a doable one, which said F WFC7, and then you had A J G, that was 16, a number was written. Okay, then the next term was ENK 34, and so on. So what was happening in this is number is into 2 plus 2. So the missing number, I mean the answer was QZW286. Okay, so into 2 plus 2, or you can say plus 1 into 2 also. That's how the series was generated, and this was increasing by 4. So all letters were increasing by 4. So A plus 4 is E, J plus 4 is N, and G plus 4 is K. So this was a doable question. Okay, basic uh, word logic was needed over there. Okay, then there was another question which was also on similar lines, which was this was like this. It goes like this: x ratio 294 is proportionate to 11 ratio y. Okay, ये दिया था. So you have to find x and y. Okay, so basically the logic was, and there were options given to us. So the logic was 7 square into 6. Okay, so it would be 11 square into 10. I mean, from the given options, one had to answer. So one could have seen the options and figured out the answer to this question. So इसका आंसर आया था x is equal to 7 and y is equal to 1210. Okay, so that was the answer to this question. Again, basic mathematics, basic reasoning skills were involved. So if you are good at those number based logic, you could have attempted this question. Okay, then there was another thing like a1 n 14, and it was matching with 26z. Some kind of logic was this, and 13m, that was the logic. Okay, so you have to find that which of these will match there. Okay, uh, I do not recall, I have not written the option, but it was like first letter and last letter. Okay, first letter last letter and plus 13. So a plus 13 is n, and this plus 13. So this was the pattern. So that was a pair. Okay, so that was the pair which was given over there. And then similarly there was some other also, like a couple of more questions. One was like they had given this thing GHJY. Okay, so comma करके कुछ दिया था, and they had given that another possibility is RLGK. So you have to find which of the following does not follow. Okay, so there were four options. So it you had to check all the options, but I would say as compared to quant, wherein like you had to do a lot of calculations, or verbal you had 8 questions, one could have attempted these questions. मतलब थोड़ा time लगता, but at least you could have attempted 5 6 questions. Now if you see these questions, आपको लग रहा होगा कि ये doable है, like basic number logic. Now this is 7 plus 8 plus 10. So total is 25. So that is y. Now what happens in this is 18 plus 12 plus 7, that is 37. Now the alphabets repeat after 26. So that is 11, which is k. So this was the pattern given. So among the options, we had to choose which of the following options does not follow this logic. Okay. So like if you are well versed with these alphabet and number logics, you could have attempted these questions. Now I'll give you another question which was a doable one, which I did. Spar is written as E V, and please let me know in the comments how many of you attempted these questions. ठीक है, क्योंकि अभी आपको देख के लग रहा होगा हाँ doable थे. Like if you skip these questions, and if you are going to appear on MICAT too, like जिनका अच्छा हुआ है वो appear करेंगे, like if you had an average one and you are going to appear, or if you are going to planning to appear in the future, और अभी आपने ये वीडियो बाद में देखोगे definitely. Okay, so those people please prepare for these. Okay, so like this said that this was quoted as the thing. Now what happens is add 4 to each. So what we will get, S will become TUVW, P would become T, okay, A would become E, and R would become V. Okay, so what they did was the second half it put first, and the first half is put second. Okay, so that was the logic. Similarly, demise, if you see, this is plus 4. If you do to all these, it will be H I. M is N O P Q, H I Q, and I will be J K L M. S is T U V W, and E will be I. So if you see, the second half is put first, and first half is put later. Okay, so the word given was go. So go would become G plus 4 is K, and O plus 4 is S. So it would become SK. तो ये doable question था. Like if you know these basic alphabet logics, you could have done these questions, isn't it? Like how many of you agree ki ye doable tha? If you uh, like happen to attempt the paper and you missed down on these questions, now you must be realizing that this was something that you should have attempted in the examination. So I believe that the divergent and convergent thinking is the section where you could have maximized the score. So if you are targeting MyCat 2, my advice would be divergent convergent thinking के questions देखो, especially these coding decoding. You would be able to spot 5 6 questions. तो 5 6 marks तो easily बन सकते हैं. Now if you see count, right, one question was this doable one, ठीक है. Second, third, fourth, there was something like this, fifth, sixth, some 6 7 questions. Let us say out of these six, only four stuck to you. मतलब ऐसे थे कि they could have been done, right? And there were some word association test also. So word association, I attempted two of them. Like I'll tell the two of them which I attempted, and then there were four questions. So I'll write all four and tell the two which I attempted, and the others you can answer in the comments. So one was the word was obedient. Okay, then you had gorgeous, then faithful and zealous. Okay, and the words here was marching, then you had beauty, then you had dog, girl, and proud. Okay, I marked dog as the answer. Okay, because like obedient and faithful are associated with like you had to find one word which is associated with all. Some of you might have thought of girl also. Even I thought of girl also at time, but then I realized ki obedient are and faithful are primarily associated with dog, like faithful dog. Okay, obedient dog. So gorgeous. Maybe I took a call and I mean just thought ki zealous could be the, so I mean it could be dog also, it could be girl, nobody knows the right answer. I mean I marked it dog, probably it could be girl also. Okay, so it had to be between two others, I think that were less probable. Then there was another question on like beat, wash, then it was can, tease, drain, and there was machine, brain, okay, dead water pipe. Okay, so I picked uh, so I picked brain as the answer to this because beating the brain, brainwashing, scan, brain teaser, okay, brain drain. Okay, so that I felt that could be brain, very likely. I mean, again, the answer to these are not known. They do not release the response sheet and all. But that's what I marked. So in this question, I marked dog, assuming that could be a possible. I mean, I believe that girl could also equally be correct, but that's what I did in these two questions. There were other two also which I skipped the questions, but I wrote down those questions that could be handy for the ones who would be appearing in future. Okay, idea, apple, house and hand, and then you had to match. Okay, so please do comment key what you believe is the answer to these questions. Soil, dust, and water. Okay, which of these would be associated with all of these men? Okay, then there was another one which is bridge, wreck, yacht, edge, and then the words were cruiser, boundary, smash, sink, knuckle. I was confused because there were some combinations given in this question, I think. My opinion could be possibly be sink. Okay, bridge can sink, wreck means to sink. A yacht can sink, right? Edge of a sink. So not sure because I think there was a combination of options in this, or it could be cruiser also, right? It could be cruiser also. Cruiser is also associated with these things. Cruiser is a yacht, and like cruiser can wreck. Cruiser has an edge. Cruiser passing on bridge or something like that. Okay, so I mean these are very tricky. So these were the four questions that were asked on word association. So if you are an expert or you happen to search on some internet and get the right answers, please do let me know in the comments of this video what will be the answers to this. For this, I believe brain would be the most appropriate one. In this, I'm doubtful between these two. Okay, although I marked dog in the end, in these I'm doubtful between these two. This I had no idea. I mean, I thought of this question that what could be the magic, but did not get anything. So these were questions on word association test. Now, this was the case. Psychometric, see, there is no disqualification as such, but yes, if you have attended a significant number of questions, let us if you have attended 130 plus, that should be fine. You should not be disqualified based on that. Okay, so I did not attempt this question. I just wrote it down. Okay, and I had no idea that what would match. So I wanted to attempt more and more questions. I thought that I will get back to this question, but later ran out of time. Okay, so these were the questions that were asked in the examination, right? Which I was able to solve some of them and managed to note them as well. Okay, so like now I will talk about the good score again. So if you have got 90 plus percentile or 95 plus percentile in CAT or SAT, a score of 12 would be a decent one. And if you happen to have like percentile in early 80s, now if you have percentile less than 80s, let me tell you that people do not get admission at that score. Okay, so to be honest, the lowest percentile, if you ask some MICA students also, their scores are in the early 80s, the last people who get into it. So if you have 80 plus percentile, you need a score of 15 plus in this test. You should get a call and you should have non-negative score. Okay, now if I talk about an ideal way to attempt this paper, okay, so I'll talk about the ideal way also, especially for the ones who are going to write on MyCat 2. So please do like this video and appreciate our efforts, that the only channel where you would get this in-depth analysis of all the examinations. Okay, so how to prepare for MyCat 2. Now I would say that few things, like if you are serious about MyCat, right, अगर आपको ब्रांडिंग इसमें फील्ड में इंटरेस्ट है, or this is one of your dream colleges, if you're sincerely taking mica, so prepare for it well. And for that I would say few things, uh, like of course gk you need to have strong hold. So do see the taglines and logos which we did yesterday. देखो एक coincidentally एक match कर गया, and I told you about some taglines and all. I mean we did discuss cisco as a logo, so for the same brands you can read about their taglines also. So cisco की tagline आ गई थी. So taglines and logos, this thing a must do. Okay, so you will get two questions from it. Then apart from that, recent mergers and acquisitions, M&A, right? And especially about conglomerates. I hope you know what conglomerates are. So conglomerates are basically these business houses like Tata's, Ambani's. So there were questions based on Reliance, right? On Tata Group. Maybe you might have next time Mahindra Group. Who knows? Okay. So that was the case. Okay, and like all brand related things, GK brand related, like brand ambassadors. Okay, recent events, etc. So sports and all some current affairs. Well, these are the things that you must practice. Now, for divergent and convergent thinking, right? So, word association is like a subjective thing. Like if you can strike it, because, like, yes, you may get some test. Uh, uh, I don't know if there are any sites which have such kind of thing. Probably we'll put them in our mocks, create some questions on that. Okay, so DCT, these word letter coding based. So you can get a lot of questions of these kind in different government job examinations, like SSC asks a lot of these questions. Okay, if some word is coded in this pattern, so you will find a lot of questions on this. Prepare this word letter thing. Ki, how are the letters? What are the order of letters? Like A, B, C, D is 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? You should be well versed with this, and sufficient number of questions are asked on this. So word letter coding series, etc. These are good chunk of questions which I believe are doable in the divergent and convergent thinking. This is the section which I believe here you can easily score 5 to 6 marks. ठीक है, GK you can make 3 to 4 marks. ठीक है, अगर आपको qualify करना, this I am talking about the minimum that you can score. Like if you do a strong GK, then probably 3 to 4 marks is achievable. 3 4 questions you can pick and answer those taglines, logos, because these are match the following types. Okay, so DCT you can score 5 6 using just these kind. Remaining blood relations, some other question which you find doable, maybe you can scale up to, like इससे definitely 7 to 8 questions आएंगे, or even maybe half of that could be word letter coding plus series. They will have 7 to 8 questions. You can get 5 to 6 from this, plus you can get some more marks, like for example blood relations was easy. There was a question on binary logic, so if you know that logic you could have attempted that question. That cat has long tail and has collar, right? Those kind of questions. Now if I talk about QA, it's about picking the right set of questions. QA cover all syllabus and pick easy ones. So again, there were definitely 3 4 questions which were doable. ठीक है, 3 4 क्वेश्चन तो थे which we discussed, like जैसे this grazing part, then another was that diagonal based. So 2 क्वेश्चन तो I guess अगर बहुत बेसिक क्वांट भी करी होगी, 2 क्वेश्चन तो हर कोई अटेम्प्ट कर सकता था. Okay, if not too many. And there were some other also, so maybe DI if you see, ठीक है, DI में कुछ कैलकुलेशन करके लगा सकते हो. So at least 3 4 questions can be done in QA if you are average. If you are good, maybe you can scale it up to 7 8, or like 2 to 3 if not taking a general student, an average student, maybe 2 to 3 here. And in that VA part, maybe you can, VA is a bit tricky because there are too many options. Parajumbles, parassembly, at least you can see the questions. If you can, if you want to read the RC, let's say if your QA is weak, अगर आपकी QA डाउन है, so VA में RC पढ़ लो. It has 4 to 5 questions. Last year there were 4 questions. This time there were 5. So 4 to 5 questions. Maybe you can attempt 1 or 2 questions out of it, and some more. So if your QA is weak, if your QA is strong, then do not read RC. In that case, do not read RC. Attempt QA based questions, and VA you can manage some 3 4 questions. So if you talk about VA versus QA, balance one. So VA versus QA, you can make around 6 to 8 questions combined in this. An average student, if you're a good student, make it, maybe you can make even more in these. Okay, so this depends on, like if your VA is strong, maybe you can make 7 6 7 questions in VA and 2 3 in quant, and the other way around. Okay, so and if we talk about DCT, 5 6 questions can be done if you are strong with this. तो ये वर्ड लेटर कोडिंग और इसकी प्रैक्टिस कर लो, यू कैन डेफिनेटली स्कोर एटलीस्ट 5 6 or even more. Maybe you can even reach the figure of 10 also in DCT itself. ठीक है, 6 7 क्वेश्चन ये बन गए, और कुछ like let's say you spend time and solve those questions, probably you could reach the target of 10 also in this, and maybe few questions in this, and so that overall you reach that 15 mark. And 15 mark is a great score in this examination. Those who did not appear in the examination would must be thinking कि यार 17 में से 15 तो कुछ भी नहीं होते, but those who appear, they know that getting even a 15 mark score is a big achievement in this exam. Okay, now good score in each section, there is no good score in each section. I mean they do not reveal that what are the sectional cutoffs. Okay, ideal percentile, like as I said that probably like 80 in the early 80s, okay, is 80 plus is needed. They do not say that what is the cutoff, but I have not heard anyone getting less than 80 and converting MICA. So 80 plus, I get that maybe 82 83 must be the least percentile, right? That people are getting. Non-negative marks means that non-negative. Okay, it is not zero. I mean, it can be zero or positive marks. If you have negative marks in a section, this we have heard from students that they do not get a call from MICA if they have negative marks in any particular section. Okay, so these are some things that you need to prepare for MICAT. Yes, we will come up with more sessions, and probably we will we may or we may not. We will definitely modify our existing mocks for MICAT too, and if time permits, we may update our mocks also. Okay. All right. So, in case you know someone who is preparing for CAT 2025, or you can recommend our course to them. Okay. So, talk about the content that we provide. If you can imagine that for a minor examination like MICAT, which is covered by nobody else. Okay, in the industry, we put this much of effort. Imagine how much effort we put on all exams. So if you have seen our channel for the very first time, you can check out our videos. We have great content for all MBA entrance examinations, pure content, and not just merely strategies. There are a lot of people who just give strategies, random gyan on YouTube. We are not those, and we have solid content, well researched, because I myself appear on all examinations, whether big or small. So we have this course for a complete batch for CAT and HUMITS for 2025 and 26 examinations. That will be a self-paced batch, and in this there will be solved questions on all sections from basics to advanced. Topic-wise practice sheets will be provided to you. There will be a doubt resolution group, and there will be some live classes, and those will be the doubt sessions. And in VA and LR, we will cover the OMETs also, so that you are prepared for different MBA entrance examinations. So if you know someone who are preparing for these examinations, you can definitely recommend our institute to them. Okay, so this was today's exam, MICAT analysis. MICAT 2 will be held, I think, somewhere late in January, 25th January. So we'll be doing the analysis then. And before that, before MICAT 2, we will be hosting some more preparatory sessions on our YouTube channel. So please do subscribe to the channel and like the video if you found it helpful.